Hi friends, it's Terry with Terry's Creation Station, ready for another tutorial. This time we're going to do an arrangement. We've been doing some wreaths, so I wanted to kind of switch it up and do something for Easter, and I think you're going to enjoy the process of getting this together. So let's get started. Remember, you're going to get a supply list with this tutorial so you can acquire the same materials that I've used here or something close to it. Now, this will be the only thing that'll be a variation for your creation, because this is a basket that I particularly had in my stock that was from World Market. I got it when it was on sale, but I would encourage you just to get an Easter basket or just a regular basket. This was in their Easter supplies at World Market, but you know, a moderately sized Easter basket is fine. This one is the perfect size for this project. The first thing you have to do is prepare the container, all right? And to do that, now you could have used that spray sealer kind of foam that everybody uses, but I'm impatient, so I don't like to wait for it to cure. So I'm just going to use regular floral foam for this project. But you could totally use that other and it would be fine. So I've got some floral foam here. One of the main things that you have to do with something this lightweight is that you need to weight it down. So that way it's not going to be toppling around on you. And you know, if you're preparing this for yourself, you don't really have to go to that step. But if you're preparing it to sell, then I do encourage you to weight the bottom down somewhat so you have it so it's not going to topple, okay? Couple of ways to do that. I have a container full of just miscellaneous rocks, and these are those little things that come in for vase fillers. You can use any of this kind of stuff, but it's got some weight to it. And, you know, just get some gravel or little rocks, river rocks, things like that. I happen to have a piece of just this concrete block came out of a little Christmas tree, and I just had this piece. So I can put this in the styrofoam once I get it kind of secured in there, and it's going to work fine, and it's heavy enough to keep that secure. So you want to do that in the bottom of the container. I'm going to use just a regular piece of floral foam, and what I want to do prior to putting it in there is I'm going to hollow out a place for this to sit in, because I don't want to put this like straight in the bottom of the basket. It just would push through, because look at this bottom. It's very thin and it's got some wire in it, but I don't want that concrete pushing through. So we're going to put it in this foam. So I'm just going to kind of draw around it. And remember, none of this is going to show, so it doesn't have to be pretty. Doesn't have to be gorgeous. You can know that it's going to get hidden, okay? So I'm just going to use my kitchen knife to hollow this out somewhat. You got to get kind of physical with it. I used to use this knife all the time in my kitchen before I started my business, but now it's an integral part of my tools that I use here in the shop, which is fine because I don't cook much anymore since I have my business as well. It's kind of changed things around here. So just dig that out. Now I could have done all this prior to our video, but I want you to see the process of what's required. I think I'm popping this all on my face too. If you see a little green thing on my face, that's styrofoam. Okay? It does get messy, but you know what? That's the way it is. Alright, so I've got this kind of hollowed out, and This was just for informational purposes. I'm not going to use those. One thing that I do tell you about using these river rocks or the little beads is that you want to make sure that they don't rattle, so that when you have a customer moving their creation, that you don't hear that. So make sure they're glued in really well. Okay, let's put some glue. Move this so you can see. Now I'm just going to take this and put it straight down in to my glue pan and get it pretty globbed up. Just like that. That's probably overkill, Terry Lynn, but there we go. Okay, so now I'm going to stick it right down in to this foam, okay? And that's going to be our weighted styrofoam. Now it can go into the basket. Now, instead of gluing the styrofoam to the basket, we're going to wedge in some other pieces of styrofoam to just wedge it into the arrangement. And once it's all kind of put together, it's not going to really move out of there. But I don't want to glue the styrofoam to the basket, again, because it's such a thin material, and I don't want that to, you know, seep through. If you've got a different kind of basket that you feel comfortable putting in some glue, then by all means you can do that. But it would be easy to puncture this and put a hole in it by gluing. Like I say, I'm just wedging in some pieces like so. Let's get rid of this. I want a clean work area. So we're going to get rid of this. Besides, it might make me start sneezing. Who knows? Let's just get rid of it right here in the trash. Okay. Alright, so that already feels nice and weighted to me. We've got just some wedged in pieces, and now I'm going to build on top of that. There's a little piece right here. Let's put that. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now, let's put in a bigger piece. Let's see. It's going to be a pretty big piece. That's fine. Let's draw around it. Where's this? Okay. And I'm just going to get an idea of how big that is. If you don't have a Lazy Susan to work with in your shop or in your crafting room, it really does help to spin it around when you're working on your designs. And I had one of those heated kind of styrofoam cutters. I broke it, so I've got to replace it here soon. So I'm just going to cut this big oval kind of shape of the basket. This cute little design I did a couple of years ago when I was doing a spring show. Well, it's probably been longer than that. And it was so popular, I had to come home during the show and make more. And so this will be the first one I've made in a little while. But I think you're going to enjoy doing these. They were always really good sellers. And now that you'll know how to do it, then absolutely do it. I hope this knife doesn't break. of looks like an Easter egg. Okay, there's all those pieces. All right, let's see if this is even going to go in there. Oh, genius. Okay, so there it is, and it's just going to fit in there really well. I'm going to wedge in these little pieces that came off in on the edges of the basket, okay? Now, I am going to put some sticks down in here just to keep it from rocking. Let me show you. These are just, where'd I put them? Here they are. These are just sticks that come off of flowers or other picks, and I'm going to just push one of these down into the top piece of styrofoam, down into the bottom styrofoam. And that's just going to keep it from rocking around. Okay, I'm going to put 4. And that's just going to go right down. When it stops, just then trim it off. Okay, let's get one more stick. Just put it kind of in the 4 corners, you know. Oh, this is going to be so cute. All right. Okay, let's put in a few of the wedges in here around this side, around the outside of the basket. If you have to trim them, just get your knife and trim some pieces. By wedging this in like that, it just makes it a little bit more sturdy. Okay. And remember, it doesn't have to be pretty. This is not going to show. It just needs, as far as the construction of it, it needs to be a sturdy piece of foam in there so it's not going to shift around. Y'all hear my little, that's the pick machine that's making that little rattling noise when I'm shaking my work table. Let's get another one little piece. And I do take the time to make sure that it's prepped properly. Okay? So here we have it. It's all ready to go and start decorating. Yay! That's the fun part. Sometimes the construction part can be kind of boring, but necessary. And I promise if you take extra time to really prep your products, your customers will notice. Okay, so to start with, I'm going to use some of this grass. This comes from Hobby Lobby. It's in their Easter section, and it's very inexpensive. And if you get it for 40% off, it's even better. $4.99 is the retail on this. We're going to use this to cover the foam. And it's just a grassy carpet. And you can cut it. It's got this grid in the back so you can cut it. And it's not going to be the exact shape of this thing. So we're going to do some trimming. Right about there. Your basket will be different. So whatever shape you need to get it to kind of cover the foam in there. Now you could also use moss or even something, you know, I've used those boas before, which would be kind of cute, like the little Easter, like a little chick that's got the Easter hair fuzz would work. Okay, you can stick that down. Don't even have to take those corners off. We're going to use some greening pins on here. And I have them right here handy. These are called U-pins or greening pins. And I'm simply going to use these to place down over the grid into the styrofoam and hold that in, anchor it in. This gives it sort of an Eastery look as far as the grass, and I am going to trim. This is kind of hanging off the side, so I'm going to trim that up, and we can repurpose that little piece somewhere else. These are very easy to cut and get on your foam. Okay, don't panic if this is not covering all of the way, because we're going to be putting a lot of stuff in here, and I promise it's going to get covered. Not that you were panicking, but I don't, you know, you may be sitting back going, no, what about that? All right, let's put a few more pins because I don't want it lifting off. The nice thing about this grid too is that once it gets in there, all the stuff on top of it, it's going to also secure it. So, and if we see any foam when it's all said and done, we can just use some moss to cover it. So that's always an option. Okay, I'm just trimming this corner because it's a square and I've got a round basket. Just some little pieces coming out. Okay, let's secure this end. It kind of looks like the grass is all growing toward the sun that way, which is different. But if you make these ahead of time, you know, go ahead and get a start on your Easter season. People will eat these up. Okay. And we can put these single ones kind of in the spots that are open. This is just a single one that I'm just going to put right there. And cover it up. Again, we're going to be adding a lot of florals to this. This time last week, we were at market and found some really good things to work with. Easter is fun season, and we've got a longer season this year than we've had in previous years. Easter's in April, toward the end of April this year, so that's given a little more time. Okay. All right, now that you've got your basket prepared and the foam's in there and the grass is there, and like I said earlier, if you want to go in and put some moss on these real edges here, that's fine. To hide any of that, you can totally do that. So the next part is the bunny. This is the fun part now that we get to start decorating it. And this is a little bunny kit that's got its legs and Am I missing his hands? Let me find, I've got some over here. Somebody stole the paws out of that bag. Oh no, actually they're up under his ears of all things. Okay, so we're good. And I'm going to use this little bunny. These come as a kit, and they've got the legs, the head, and the paws. And they come in several different colors. Okay, this bunny does not have a body. So to make it look a little complete, I've got this greenery ball. It came from Hobby Lobby, and I'll give you the SKU number on that. The thing that I want to encourage you about is make sure that your bunny and the ball kind of work together. You see, you don't want something that's maybe extremely large, like this one would make it look like it's kind of got a bear belly. You don't want that. You want it to be proportioned to the size of the head. So there are other types of mossy balls that are available either from Michael's or in your Hobby Lobby stores or from some of the online stores. But we got to get this ball onto our design first and get it anchored. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a stick that we used earlier, and this is just one that I've cut off from a flower, and I'm going to bend it like in a U shape, okay? Now I'm going to take it and push it through here. Just pick a place, push it through to the other side, and then we've got something like this, okay? I'm going to put a pick on the end of these because I want them to really pierce into the foam. So let me get my pick machine. We're going to just put a pick on the end of these two sticks. And I am going to dip them in the glue. So I want them to stick and stay. All right. Now I'm just going to pick a place for this to sit, and just think, this is the bunny's belly, all right? And we're going to have his legs kind of coming off of the side. So if you need to get your needle nose and just push those sticks down in there. And I may have to get it off of this turntable to really push on it. So you heard it go in, I hope. And that's just going to keep it from, of course, falling out. You don't want his belly falling on the floor. So let's push this in. Okay. So we've got that in there. You can also take some greening pins and on some of the edges, go ahead and push those down into the foam as well. So if you want to anchor it that way, it's always an option for you to do that. It's not going to really go anywhere. Because we're going to put the head on top of this. Again, this is just serving as the body of the bunny itself. Okay. There's his belly. And it is kind of a big belly for a little bitty head, but we're going to make it work. All right, so here's my little pink bunny. And it has a hook on it on the back, or a hanger. So I'm just going to get rid of that. We don't need it. And we don't need this stick, because we've got to have a longer one than that. Okay? We're going to use one of these sticks to make it longer. So I'm going to put a pick on it. A little bit of glue. We're going to come to the back of the bunny head and just close to where the other stick was, just push this up in there. And I usually have to put it down to get some traction on it. There we go. Now you don't want to go through the front of the bunny, obviously. That wouldn't be a good look. Okay, so this is the front. This is the front of our basket. Okay, so we're going to push this a little bit through there because I want to get a measurement. I want to see how far down into the foam it's going to go. And that's about right. I may trim it maybe an inch or so. And let's go ahead and put a pick on it because I want it to really pierce through. So I'm going to put some glue. Here's the front, so I'm going to push it as centered as I can through the top. And then push that bunny all the way into the foam that's in the basket, right? And if you have to lift him up just a little bit and push it down even more, you can. Okay, but there he is. It's going to be a little bit bend from pushing on it, so straighten it back up so he's sitting up straight. You got to get physical with it. Just get physical, physical. Okay. Now we can also tie him under here onto the handle to kind of get it where it's not going to wobble as well. But if you had a foam ball that had some more consistent, this is empty in the middle, and so it just going through all the way. So I think what I'll do is put a little piece of wire right here to hold him up. Some of this stuff you just have to figure out as you go, right? You have to, you know, test it, see what's happening. Okay, let's put a little piece of wire right here and get this where it won't wobble. The full styrofoam type moss balls do work a little better than this hollow one. So if you want to use that, then you won't have to secure it like this. So y'all, I'm just putting a little piece of wire right here. And it's not wanting to go through. It's getting hung up on that straw. There it goes. Okay, so I'm just going to tie that off. We're going to put some stuff behind him so he won't flop around. Okay. All right, so there we have him. I'm not worried too much about how he's positioned till we're finished with everything, because we're going to be messing with a lot of it, okay? So that's his belly. We're going to also now put on his legs. Now to do his legs, I'm going to make sure that I can bend them, and there's nothing inside these that will bend. So I'm going to take one of those sticks that we've been using, and I'm not going to put glue on that because I don't want it to hold on to this burlap, but I'm just going to push it through the back. This is kind of thin burlap, so be careful that you don't poke yourself. We're just going to fish it through the back. Get you a nice hole in here if you have to cut a little place to enter the leg itself. This can be a little tricky because I've got that pick on the end and it might grab or come through the other side. So I'm just going to fish it through. Thankfully, it's not a long leg, so you don't have to do too much as far as distance. Okay, so we're at the bottom, and here's where I want you to take that pick. You're going to turn it so that it's going to go into the foot kind of sideways. We don't want to go through down that way because it'll poke through the sole of the foot. But I'm going to kind of turn it like this. So it's going down into the foot. Again, be careful not to go through and poke yourself. Okay, so it's in there. Now what that allows you to do is have a leg that you can bend and shape. All right, so let's do that to the other leg. Put a pick. And the reason the pick is on there is because you can't pierce the styrofoam without it. At least it's harder to do that. Now you don't need this clamp. If they have that on there, just get rid of it. You don't need that at all. We're going to poke a little hole for this to go through. And then just fish it through. Okay, we've gotten down to where the foot is. Remember, we're going to turn it a little bit sideways. Flatten out the foot so you can push that pick into the styrofoam foot. Okay, there is your other leg, and it's bendable. So I'm going to trim that a little bit. We don't need all that. And I am going to put a pick on the end of these. Okay, here's what's going to happen, and I'm going to try to do it where you can see it, not so much me. But we're going to put his legs coming out of this little belly. So we're going to stick them down into the grass and underneath his little belly right there. And you can also use some greening pins to anchor it too into the foam. Okay. Let's leave it like that. What about that? No! Okay, so I'm going to put his other leg kind of over here. Let's see, let me push it in. If you've got a really big basket, they have a size of bunny kit that's bigger than this one, and it would, you know, be the right appropriate size. So we've got these where they can bend, and what I'd love to do is bend these so that one of the legs is kind of draped down, like so, and then maybe this one is going to be up a little bit. So in other words, they're not just both down onto the ground, okay? And it looks like he's just kind of perched up there. Okay. You know what I might do is just glue this sucker. Glue his bow tie up there on the handle. Let's do that. Why didn't y'all tell me that? Come on. Some of y'all are probably sitting there going, just glue it, just glue it. And I can't hear you. So let me let it cool. So we've got his legs, his belly, And depending on where your handle is or how your bunny goes in. But that works good. Okay, how cute is that? And we've got him sitting up there. All right, let's put his hands on. They're not hands, they're paws. Heavenly days. You got to get those paws on. And they do have clips on them, so I'm just going to use the clips to put the hand, why do I keep saying hands? Paws into this greenery, into the little greenery. Just push it down in there. So see, we put that one right there. And turn him a little bit more that way. And then we've got this one. So I'm not anatomically correct on this, I know, but wherever his paws should go, put them there. All right. Now the rest is just filling in with some florals for him to have around him. And I think actually his little paws could go maybe a little bit further over. I'll probably have to Google it to see where their little paws should go. But maybe that'll work. Okay, let's do some other greenery in here so that it's springy. I have these, and I'll have this on your supply list, a branch that's got some of this little leaves on it and it bends. So I'm going to put some of this in it for height because he's kind of tall and I want something to go up where his head is. All right, I'm going to pick these together. And then I'm just going to put them right back here. The nice thing about these branches is they will bend for you. So if you wanted those to be smaller or not quite so tall, all you have to do is bend them down and just kind of shape them a little bit like so. So I just wanted a little bit over his head, and I think that looks good. So let's put a few more of these. From here on, it's going to go fairly quickly. The prepping the basket, of course, takes time. And you don't want to skip that step. You want to make sure you get it really well constructed. All right. We can put some right down in here in the front. And there's no right or wrong reason to do this any certain way. So just do what feels good. Now I am going to take these and bend them around like this because I want some texture. So watch what happens. You can take these, put them inside that grass somewhere. Use your greening pin and secure it into that grass and into the styrofoam that's under it. And that's going to give it a really nice look. See how that works? You just go right that, make a loop. And then it's you can move it around. Let's do that on the other side of the bunny. I like coming out from the container a little bit. We're going to put it right over here and do that same technique and loop it, right? Okay, loop. Then I'm going to take the grass, split it a little bit, and put this in that vine in there. These are called willow vines. I love using these. You've probably seen me use them in other designs. And that's okay that that sticks out like that, see? And just kind of open that loop up a little. Let's do one coming out from here and looping back to the back. Don't forget about your backs, because you're not really sure where this is going to be positioned, and you want the back to, even though the bunny's facing forward, you want it to have a really nice back as well. Okay, so I'm going to come right here by the belly, if you will. And we're going to pull these all together and make a loop right here. Now watch. See that coming down like that? I love it. Make your loop and let this come out. It just adds a little bit of wildness to it. Don't be afraid to do it that way. I gave you permission. Okay. I love that. So I'm going to go ahead and put one that kind of extends out like that on this side, because I like the way that looks. If you don't have access to a bunny, you could put, you know, any other kind of little animal here, Eastery design. Okay, I'm going to put this kind of back behind. These have, in the past, sold from anywhere from $129 to $145. Now look, I just did a loop right there, and I want this sticking out on the side, so I'm going to secure that with a greening pin, or a couple of greening pins, which I got to get some more. And I know there's some greening pins showing in here, but don't worry about it. We'll get those covered with some moss. But I like the way that that is looking. It's got those little wispy leaves. Let's put in some other spring elements. I have, these are Real Touch tulips that we're going to add. And I've already got them picked, so they're ready to put in. And we're just going to start adding some of these spring elements. And from here it goes fairly quickly. I love these Real Touch tulips. They've got such a realistic look to them, hence Real Touch. And they bend, watch, they just bend wherever you want them to go. See how pretty that is? I've got some pink ones as well. Let's see, where's the pink ones? These come in a bundle from General Wholesale. They have several different colors, depending on your color scheme. And they come in a bundle like this. Let me save the tag so I know what to tell you to buy. And then you can just trim them however tall you want them. I'm going to leave this one kind of long. Now, as far as the symmetry of the length, don't put them all the same height. You know, you want to vary your elements so they're not all like ducks in a row. You want some pointed up, you want some pointed down. Let's put this one pointing a little bit down, bend it over. And because you can shape these, you can do it that way. And those tulips just add so much more to what you're doing and the way it looks. I can remember once winter, because you have to plant these tulips in the fall, and my mom's birthday's on March the 12th, and we had a surprise snowstorm, and my tulips were all bloomed, and we had snow on our tulips. I have a picture of it somewhere. So I'm just taking these and filling in, looking really good. And so you can pull those down a little bit in the front. Mix up your colors so you don't all have the same color. I think I need a pink one like right there, so let's do that. And remember, we're putting things in the back as well. Isn't that nice? It's coming along really nice. So I'm going to go ahead and use some other elements instead of all the same thing. I have this fun fuzzy pink pick, and we're going to add a little bit of whimsy by putting this in. This also comes in other colors. Just because I had a pink bunny, though, I wanted to use this. So you can cut it up into 3 pieces, which is what I think I'm going to do. Now save these sticks, because this is what we used earlier on the bunny legs. All right, let's decide where we're going to put this. Maybe kind of right there. And you can unfold it. Spread it open a little bit. That just added a little bit of fun. Let's put one back here. And I'm going to undo it so that it's got some height to it. Make it a little bit higher than this one. Did my hand fall off? Oh no, I saw his foot. I thought I dropped one of his paws. I gotta quit calling it hands. Y'all gonna be making fun of me. It's not a hand. Okay, last one. Let me get a visual. So we've got this one, this one, this one. I think I'm gonna do one down low right here and let it kind of come down. Vary your heights. So I'm going to push it through this loop and let it kind of come down. Yes, I love it. Okay, just a few more elements and then we're going to call it quits. Here's a fun pick. And I loved it because it has some grassy, mossy element to it. And this also came from General Wholesale. I'm going to rip it apart. And these little grassy things can go separated out too if you want. I'll trim that off just a little. I think I'm going to put this sort of at the back, coming from the back side. More like a backdrop for that other greenery. Yeah, that looks really good. So I'm going to take these pom-poms off, but have no fear, I'm going to use them. And then let's split this apart and use it. So this is just one pick, which is very affordable. Now I'm going to put this one kind of right here on the back side, but so it's coming out on the side. So we'll get some of that texture going on that end. Yep. And then I'm going to put one right here kind of coming out that way. And I'm going to trim it just a little bit because it's long and I don't want it to be as long as those. So I'm going to take it down just a little. Okay. I'm going to put it right in here. Wow, that is exactly as I had envisioned. Now let's use these little pom-poms just because they're so fun. And remember, you don't have to always use the picks the way they come. You can use them by deconstructing them. And I thought I had some, yeah, I do have some little Easter eggs over there we'll add, and then we'll be finished. So there's the little pom-pom. We can bend that over. We have a pink one and a green one. Let's use those kind of in the front. Find a spot for this one. Maybe kind of right in this empty spot right here. Okay, I'm just trying to make sure that these palms are not the same height. Let's put this one over on the other side. Okay. Getting close, folks. This bunny's head's gonna make me nuts. I'm gonna have to make sure he's not gonna wobble around, but I think it's pretty secure. It's not gonna fall off, but most of the ones I made previously had solid mass balls there, and so it was easier to secure the hats in there, and the heads, the hats. All right, let's add a few little Easter eggs and call it a day. This is a fun pick, and I don't even foresee us using the whole thing. I think we're going to just use some of the eggs themselves. Or we might use the whole thing, who knows. But I want these Easter eggs to be in there, so let's find a spot, maybe right there. Be good. You could put a bow in this, but I'm not going to. I like the just it being the basket and that's it. Now these eggs are on little squiggly things, so you can adjust them. So there we have that pick. We're going to put one in on this side and then one in the back. I love all this little wispy stuff. It really makes it fun. Now put one in the back, and we're getting close. I hope you guys have had fun watching this tutorial. It's an easy project. I'm pretty sure that you can accomplish. I feel confident you can. The supplies are fairly easy to get retail or wherever you want to look for them. Now from here, I would just go back, check your edges. There may be some places that you would want to fill in, you know, with some kind of greenery here. Maybe cut a little piece of something like that and let it kind of fall down. This is a piece from Select Artificials, and I've had it for a while, so I'm not sure if it's locally available or if it's available on Sandy's General Wholesale site. But if not, you can get something very similar. So let me show you what I'm talking about. You can add a piece like this. I'm going to put it right under this. And you can even bring a piece of it up like so onto the basket and let it just kind of hang like that. If you've got any places that need kind of covering with the moss, you know, add your moss. We can come over here under his leg. Put a little piece, and this is wired, so you can bend it. See that even that little piece adds a little different touch. And then I'm going to put a little bit on the back, and then I promise we're finished. I keep saying we're close. See, I've got piece of foam that's kind of showing right there. So let's just put this there to camouflage it. And then you can kind of let this just hang down. It may still need a little piece of foam right there. I mean, moss. Didn't mean to say foam. I'm trying to cover the foam. Y'all know what I mean. Look at all these strings. So you can just kind of touch that up with some green moss. Okay, let me put it on the turntable. Get a final look. Here we have a cute bunny arrangement. Be perfect for a little table or a side entrance table, a buffet. Look how pretty. And you made it, or we made it. All right. Now, if you have any questions, make sure you send me a message and I'll be glad to answer them. And I wish you all kinds of luck in making this. If you make it, I want to see a picture, please. And I'll brag on you, all right? Okay. From the bunny patch. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.